Let's talk about Josh Donaldson real
Oh,
quick.
okay.
Because quite honestly, I don't want to spend too much time on this because it's interesting. I'm not really sure what else it is. So,
Yeah,
so Josh Donaldson and Tim Anderson got into it this weekend. Like you said, there's lots of chirping back and forth. I assume you were watching these
yeah,
games at least to some degree, Brig, right?
for sure. Watching, yeah.
Okay. Um, so Josh Donaldson at one point pushed Tim Anderson off the base at third base. This is in Chicago, an attempt to get an out, which obviously, as we know, doesn't work. But I feel like when they do that, it's like joking around, right?
This wasn't though.
It wasn't joking around.
No, he tried to play it off like it was. He was like, "Well, hey, I'm just being competitive. I'm just, we're just fun in here and everything
Well,
like that." But it was like, "Come on, man! Like, you're not Miggy."
so I'll get to that in just a second too.
Okay.
So Josh Donaldson called Tim Anderson Jackie at least once during the series.
Yep.
And he says that's a callback to a 2019 interview where Tim Anderson said that he was being he was kind of being like the new Jackie Robinson, bringing fun back to the game.
That's what
And
Josh Donaldson said. Yeah.
yeah, and then after that, Donaldson said that he was joking around with him, calling him Jackie multiple times since then without a problem. And real quick before we get too far, I feel like maybe Josh Donaldson thinks that he's closer with Tim Anderson than Tim Anderson thinks he is.
Yeah.
Right? That maybe Josh Donaldson's one of those guys who feels like he's friends with everybody in the league, but most of the guys in the league are like, I'm not your friend, pal.
Right. Thanks, Buckaroo.
Right?
Well, the way he
So,
chooses gum in the dugout would at least, it's got to ostracize at least 25% of players in the league. It's just, it's so bad. It's so intense.
well, he's kind of one of those guys that he kind of has a polarizing personality, right? Where
I
it's like
think
really
so.
like you either like his shenanigans and kind of what he's about, or you don't at all. Like I think at one point he was wearing extensions just so he could have a little bit of hair hanging out the back of his, little bit more hair
For
hanging out the
real?
back of his hat. Yeah, I think it was when
Oh,
he was in Toronto. He was doing that.
interesting.
I don't know if that's true, but I heard that on the radio somewhere. So there's
Okay.
that. But anyway, MLB's official position on this, Michael
Well,
Hill, MLB's what's that?
we got to jump in here and say that all this chirping and this back and forth resulted in a benches clearing uh, outbreak, I guess is the best way to call it. And it's so,
Something.
it's so funny to listen to John Sterling and Susan Waldman talk about benches clearing because they're like, and here comes the bullpen. God, that's the stupidest thing. Why do they do that? Why do they even send the bullpen in? Why do
It's
we
their
need them? We
chance to
don't
get
need you.
involved.
It's so funny. They're so curmudgeonly about it. Such curmudgeons about it that they're like, no, go back, stop. Why would you run all the way? This is so dumb. It's so funny to listen to them.
That's hilarious. I love that. So
Anyway,
MLB's official position is according to Michael Hill, MLB's senior vice president for on-field operations. Quote, MLB has completed the process of speaking to the individuals involved in this incident. There is no dispute over what was said on the field. So it sounds like everybody's agreeing. And then he continues, says, regardless of Mr. Donaldson's intent, the comment he directed toward Mr. Anderson was disrespectful and in poor judgment, particularly when viewed in the context of their prior interactions. In addition, Mr. Donaldson's remark was a contributing factor in a bench clearing incident between the teams and warrants discipline. Now,
bam.
it might have been like one of those things where at the time where he's like, hey, Jackie, after the interview, right? And he goes, yeah, man.
Yeah.
And then like next year, hey, Jackie, the joke's over, man. Like,
Right. That's
come
what I
on.
think.
Like I feel like that's what it was. And then it's one of those things where he took the joke too far. And I
See, I
feel like
don't
there are
even think
some,
it was a joke.
well, yeah,
I think
yeah.
I think what happened is Josh Donaldson went, who does this upstart joker think he is in his mind or whatever, and then said, hey, Jackie, like throwing a
I don't know that it was
dagger. I
necessarily
don't
that.
know.
To me, it felt like there was maybe some, like maybe a little bit different undertone, but there was some undertone to it
Sure.
that I don't necessarily want to get into because it's a whole thing.
Yeah, it's a
But
thing.
and I could see why it would be inappropriate, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Makes me
anyway,
uncomfortable.
Yeah, I was very uncomfortable when I saw it. And then when he was explaining it away, I was like, I'm still very uncomfortable with it.
Yeah, that's not helping. Like I know you think that's the story. I got it. He really does believe that that's what's going on. But I still am uncomfortable.
Exactly right. 100%.